Hello everyone, it's Lucy here, and let's move on to the next episode. Now, after Medusa split the little king of hell's turtle shell in half, it was slowly crumbling. Mysterious Lady and Hao Xian looked up at the scene with grave expressions. Then, the turtle shell gradually dissipated. Seeing this, Hao Xian's expression turned extremely serious as he asked Mysterious Lady, "Has your divine weapon support become ineffective?" Upon hearing this question, Mysterious Lady responded somberly, "Not yet, Master." Hearing her answer, Hao Xian's face darkened because he knew trouble was brewing. He said, "It seems we're facing a big problem this time." Just one glance and Hao Xian's sixth sense told him that the current enemy was extremely powerful. Unlike any opponent he had faced before, Medusa's demeanor at this moment was like that of an ancient, bloodthirsty python eyeing its prey. Even Hao Xian sensed that even if they used peak cards and ultimately won, both sides would suffer severe injuries. Even if you win, it will be miserable. Medusa's eyes were crimson, her face darkened as she stared intently at Hao Xian. But in such a perilous situation, Hao Xian's body was inexplicably trembling. Standing before Medusa's oppressive aura, he found himself trembling with excitement. He couldn't understand, thinking, could it be because of the peak card? Is even my personality changing? Holy shit, is this still Hao Xian? Medusa looked at him with a somewhat puzzled expression, and after a while, she stepped forward and said, "Senior, what's wrong with you? I understand if everyone is upset with me for interrupting the fun, but why do you seem to have the intentions and aura of the other half of yourself?" Hao Xian stood there dumbfounded by the girl's question, not understanding. Hao Xian looked at Medusa with a bewildered question in his eyes, wondering what she meant. Seeing him silent, Medusa continued, "Being so close, I feel like you're part of this world, but the other half of your aura clearly belongs to the higher realms to the west. Why is this strange occurrence happening?" Medusa expressed her curiosity about these matters but didn't have any answers. Then, the girl looked straight at Hao Xian and said, "Could you shed some light on this mystery for me, Senior?" Hearing this, Hao Xian suddenly realized something and widened his eyes. Did she just mention the West? And her appearance? Could it be? Why is she here so early? Isn't that a long time away? Moreover, she said I have an aura from the West. Could it be the wings on my back? While Hao Xian was lost in thought, Medusa became suspicious. Why is he acting so strangely? She raised her hand to touch her chin, full of doubt, and thought, why does he look more like a native of this world? I should test him a bit to be sure. It was this thought that prompted Medusa to come up with a clever plan. In a natural battle, his energy nature will reveal itself. As soon as she finished speaking, Medusa gathered a stream of dark reddish-black spiritual energy, merging them together. Then, she swiftly stepped forward, releasing a condensed energy sphere towards Hao Xian. In an instant, everything around Hao Xian was encapsulated in a neat package, while the power within continued to envelop everything around. Wukong panicked and loudly warned Hao Xian to be careful, while Mysterious Lady rushed over to help. However, apart from sealing Hao Xian, Medusa didn't attack or do anything else. Inside the seal, Hao Xian regarded the situation with utmost seriousness. One person on the outside, one person inside looked at each other without saying a word. Hao Xian glanced at Medusa with a displeased expression, but Medusa, on the other hand, chuckled mockingly, saying, "I believe Senior will surely forgive this caution of the junior." Hao Xian remained calm in the face of this, showing no signs of fear. He thought to himself, she seems to be misunderstanding me as an ally of theirs. If I act now, it will immediately expose my identity even more. Should I waste my peak card dealing with her? What about the system's mission? Medusa, with her eerie grin, reminded him, "Senior, if you don't break the barrier quickly, the air will vanish." Wukong, enraged by Medusa's arrogance and disdain, erupted in anger. They both exerted all their strength to unleash their full force. Mysterious Lady was equally fierce, her small fist carrying purple energy and lightning as she struck. A massive explosion rocked the area, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. But upon seeing this scene, Wukong had to grit his teeth in horror and frustration, as despite their combined attack on the barrier containing Hao Xian, it showed no signs of yielding. The ground there had sunken like a bomb crater, illustrating the immense power of the opposing forces. Wukong stepped back in defeat, cursing incessantly, "Damn it, it's not true, is it? This cage is harder than the King of Hell's turtle shell." Inside the barrier, Hao Xian held the peak card and whispered, "Wukong, mysterious lady can't match this opponent. I'm out of options. It seems I have to use the peak card. This is the only way to contend with that thing from afar." With a flash of determination in his eyes and a surge of anger in his heart, Hao Xian activated the peak card to experience the full power of Fox Saint Dan K. Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode. At this moment, Hao Xian is still trapped in Medusa's cage and he plans to use the peak card to break free from this situation. Medusa is extremely excited, her eyes gleaming provocatively as she taunts Hao Xian, "You're taking too long, senior. I've been waiting for you." Suddenly, the sky darkens, and in the midst of the swirling vortex, a sinister black orb appears. Witnessing this scene, Mysterious Lady stares in shock and alarm, while Wukong remains extremely vigilant, unsure of what else might come. Seeing this strange celestial phenomenon, Hao Xian is puzzled and wonders, What's happening to the sky, from the center of this bizarre phenomenon in the sky? A dark orb with a crimson core emerges, surrounded by lightning crackling and echoing. Medusa is shaken to her core when she notices the terrifying disturbance behind her. At that moment, a colossal hand bathed in radiant light extends from the orb, reaching towards Medusa, causing her to recoil in fear. The frightened child stares wide-eyed, gritting her teeth, and wonders. What the hell is this? The powerful, oppressive hand dominating the heavens renders Medusa powerless to resist, leaving her standing in place. The little Medusa is swiftly captured by the hand in a manner witnessed by Hao Xian. Inside the grasp of the hand, Medusa cannot help but seethe with anger and struggle, yet she cannot break free. However, with Medusa's cruel nature, she continues to thrash and scream wildly, but still cannot escape. Just then, a voice from the hand echoes as if the matter is of great importance, "I've given you your time, now quickly restore your strength." Hearing these words, Hao Xian feels somewhat bewildered and fearful. Seconds later, the hand seizes Medusa and disappears. The sky gradually returns to its original state, and Hao Xian's 4 disciples stand below, looking up, their expressions solemn. Hao Xian still holds the peak card in his hand, ready to confront Medusa, but the events unfolded too quickly for him to react. Hao Xian turns to his disciples and asks, "What did that mean just now? Why did I not understand it?" Wukong, upon hearing his words, also widened his eyes in confusion. Then Wukong replied, "What words? What sound? I only saw a large hand catching that snake demon." Mysterious Lady couldn't help but speak up, saying, "It must be some high-level figure from the Heaven Palace. I didn't hear anyone say anything." Hao Xian, upon hearing the response from his disciples, was startled. His expression became serious as he silently thought, "No one heard it? But it clearly spoke to me, didn't it?" He looked back at the familiar hand containing immense power, pondering the words spoken by the figure, "Quickly restore your strength. What secrets does this body hold? Who am I and where do I come from?" The more he thought, the more his head throbbed, yet he couldn't find any answers. But he knew one thing, he had to push forward quickly, as only by unlocking the Heaven Palace card could everything be clarified. Hao Xian decided not to dwell on it anymore and moved forward, not forgetting to call out, "Let's go, quickly, to the next location." In his mind, he muttered, "Thinking too much about the current situation won't help." Suddenly, Hao Xian remembered the masked king he was carrying and realized that he had forgotten to check this artifact. Previously, the system had reminded him that it lacked energy and needed a certain amount of time to absorb energy from the heavens and the earth, and now it was probably almost ready. He then proceeded to use it, and a circle of runes appeared at his location. In front of Hao Xian, a mysterious spatial gate emerged. Hao Xian looked up, puzzled by this new development. Why was there a gate appearing now? Seeing Hao Xian's confusion, the system appeared to explain, ding. The user of the Masked King will have the privilege to open the King's Gate. Within the King's space, those who enter will have infinite regeneration capability and infinite energy. Hao Xian stood there, looking at the gate along with the system's explanation, feeling somewhat bewildered. After a while, Hao Xian finally managed to grasp the full implications of those capabilities and thought, powerful boss, unlimited minions, infinite stamina, infinite recovery. Isn't this a bit too extravagant? This is the VIP Super Fast Experience Dungeons. The premium experience of a VIP 10, huh? Oh my! Is it really packed with such amazing buffs? Thinking this, Hao Xian rubbed his forehead and reconsidered, but every time I use the peak card, I get stronger faster, so clearly the benefits are still higher than this dungeon. Darn it! How could I waste such a twisted artifact? But as soon as he said that, he suddenly realized something. Wait a minute, if I can't use it, I can let my disciples use it instead. He stared intently at his 3 disciples, leaving them bewildered and clueless, each wearing a dumbfounded expression. Then, Hao Xian chuckled mischievously, his face revealing a blatant expression as he said, "It's just like playing a game with an auto-battle system, isn't it?" He laughed inwardly, feeling excited, and continued, "Really, playing auto-battle, huh? No, it should be more ruthless, completing the training room directly instead. This is the end of the story, see you in the next episode." After activating the Masked King, the super dungeons have opened, and Hao Xian couldn't help but smile. He thought to himself, although the system likes to play tricks on me, it has never really harmed me, so I don't think these dungeons are too dangerous. Previously, the system had warned that if the potential of disciples increased by 60%, there would be new rewards. Now, the system panel displayed the main mission. First, Wukong's potential value continues to increase by 60%. Second, Mysterious Lady's potential value continues to increase by 60%. Third, the potential value of the Little King of Hell continues to increase by 60%. After reviewing his task, Hao Xian stepped forward and said, "Hey, guys, do you believe the master?" Hearing this, the 3 of them looked surprised. Mysterious Lady and Wukong quickly responded, "Of course, we believe." The Little King of Hell, however, hesitated a bit before answering. Hearing their responses, Hao Xian praised, "Well done, very good." Then he pointed towards the gate and said, "Let's go." Currently, there is a great opportunity unfolding before you, with countless demon kings inside, the most powerful for you to train against. Through this, you will shatter your own limits, Hao Xian continued. Hearing this, his disciples were shaken, and their expressions became serious. Hao Xian waved his hand and added, "Furthermore, inside, you will have unlimited strength and infinite recovery ability." In other words, a life-and-death battle, which is difficult for martial artists to come by in their lifetime, will become commonplace, allowing you to sharpen your skills. Wukong, upon hearing about the unlimited recovery, was also fascinated, as his combative nature found it irresistible. The Little King of Hell and Mysterious Lady were equally shocked to learn about the presence of the strongest demon kings inside. After finishing the introduction, Hao Xian said, "As for whether you dare to enter or not, it depends on your strength and judgment." Wukong, always the leader among them, exuded the demeanor of an elder brother and boldly said, "Fortune favors the brave." What is there that son Wukong dares not face? Mysterious Lady also spoke up confidently. "If you have chosen to follow your master, then I will trust my master unconditionally, and I will also participate in this game," declared Mysterious Lady confidently. As for the Little King of Hell, he was more pragmatic, stating, "Even if someone as strong as you wants to harm us, they wouldn't need such schemes. I'll join in as well." Hao Xian was pleased to receive such confident responses and the courage of his disciples. He said, "Very good. Let's see how far your limits will be pushed. I will wait until you exit. I hope each of you undergoes a transformation and becomes truly strong." The three disciples, their faces filled with excitement, confidently accepted their master's wishes. Before stepping into Hao Xian's superlevel dungeon gate. Seeing their figures disappear into the gate, Hao Xian couldn't help but feel anticipation. Each one entered without hesitation. Observing this scene, Hao Xian smiled excitedly and said, "I wonder how strong they will become when they come out. I am eagerly awaiting that day. Keep up the good work, my darlings. The world will have to take notice of you." After completing his task, Hao Xian set off on his own journey once again. He sighed and reminded himself, "I have to set off quickly to complete the mission. My motivation seems to be growing day by day." Is this still the laziness of the old Hao Xian? The scene shifts to Fan Xian City, Taiyan City, inside the majestic city lord's mansion, surrounded by lush trees on both sides of the courtyard. In the main hall of the city lord's mansion, two individuals kneel on the ground. A young woman in a red dress, tears streaming down her face, pleads, "City lord, you must restore justice for me. This scoundrel not only violated my body but also seized the only inheritance left by my father." The man, startled, defends himself, "City lord, please don't listen to her nonsense. She's speaking ill of me. Because I abandoned her, she's come here for revenge. That garden belonged to her father, and he sold it to me. I have the proper documents right here." Upon hearing this, the young woman retorts, "Those documents are forged by him. I beg the city lord to investigate." The city lord sneers and looks at them with cunning eyes, saying, "Goodness, it's so complicated." He, Najah, in his younger days, raised his head and looked down, saying, "Whoever speaks might have a point. I should listen to someone now." The man shouted back, pleading, "City lord, everything I say is the truth. If I lie, I'll be struck by lightning 8 times. The young woman, refusing to yield, wailed, "Oh, city lord, my words are the truth, please listen." But their words fell on deaf ears. Najah looked down with a cunning gaze and said, "Let's settle this differently. Both of you state your prices. Whoever offers more money, I'll deem them truthful." "How about that?" The woman in red became alarmed, her face sweaty with fear. "What?" she gasped. A guard of the city lord, hearing this, loudly demanded, "What? Are you deaf? Quickly state your prices." Seeing the menacing threat, the woman in red anxiously replied, "All the money left for the year has been transferred to pay taxes. It's lucky if we even have enough to eat. There's no money left to offer." As soon as his words ended, the enraged guard thundered furiously, "You insolent commoner! Are you blaming our esteemed city lord? Your audacity knows no bounds. Do you believe I'll chop you into 4 pieces and throw you in the trash bin?" The two people, seeing the guard's rage, trembled in fear and replied, "We dare not, we dare not. Even if you gave us 100 of courage, we still wouldn't dare." At this point, the city lord stood up, feigning reproach towards his subordinate, then said, "Hey now, I must be a good city lord. I shouldn't be so harsh with my subjects." The guard also bowed and said, "Forgive me, my lord, it was improper of me." Then the city lord proposed, "If you don't have money, then I have a suggestion. You come and serve as my maid for a month, and I'll consider today's lawsuit in your favor. How about that?" With that, the young woman blushed and remained speechless. After hearing Najah's sweet and provocative words in the bedroom, the girl in the red dress couldn't help but feel flustered, her face covered in sweat, but still very excited. Seeing her reaction, Najah couldn't help but mock, "Haha, do you really think that I, a wealthy man, would be interested in a village woman like you? It's laughable, haha." Hearing this, the girl in the red dress couldn't help but shed tears of sadness. Switching scenes, at another wine tower, a man with red hair was very spirited, saying, "Sooner or later, there will come a day when I will make this title famous across the world. Just wait. That day is not far off. As soon as he finished speaking, the guests in the wine tower fell silent, not knowing what to say, feeling embarrassed to be hearing such nonsense while drinking. A chubby young man next to him spoke up and advised, "Little shopkeeper, don't say any more, don't you feel ashamed?" Not only was he not ashamed, but the shopkeeper was even more excited and full of belief than before. There's nothing to be ashamed of. If you have dreams but are too afraid to even speak them, how can they ever be realized? In the future, every day we will declare to many people in the shop, if there is anything, we will speak directly, that is our way. After hearing these lofty words, Hao Xian could not help but speak up, "That is truly embarrassing, let me interrupt your dream a little. Little shopkeeper, I ask you, on my way here I saw a sect cultivating immortals in the outskirts, why don't you join them? Being here every day talking nonsense is useless." The little shopkeeper, feeling a hint of sarcasm in the question, became a little angry, looked back with a not-so-pleasant look. And then asked, "This guest looks a bit unfamiliar, you must not be a local, right?" Hao Xian crossed his arms, smiled, and replied gently, "Yes, I'm just a tourist passing through." After that response, the little shopkeeper angrily said, "So why don't you find out the situation first before giving others advice? Giving false advice is like leading others into danger." The little shopkeeper slammed his hands on the table and said, "Speaking like this, don't you feel any back pain? A wanderer like you wouldn't understand how difficult it is to cultivate immortals." He continued, "An ordinary disciple from outside the sect is priced at 300 taels. My father left this wine shop to me with just 300 taels. Hao Xian, upon hearing this, said to him, "Isn't that enough money to join the sect?" With this naive answer from Hao Xian, the little shopkeeper became even more angry and said, "Enough for you, maybe. I don't need to live, or spend money, do I? Should I live like a poor person in the sect? When you're hungry, you can just eat dirt." As he spoke, the little shopkeeper became even angrier, and his anger increased. Even if you have enough money, in the sect, there are no connections, no backing, no one to guide you. It's definitely a difficult path to take. The Cultivating Immortals sect is definitely as dark as this old city, but no matter what, sooner or later, I will find a way to become stronger and then dominate the world of cultivating immortals. Hao Xian sat and listened to him speak as if he had been struck by lightning. He was speechless with this delusional young man. Hao Xian looked at him as if he were a fool talking about astronomy. In the midst of this, the little shopkeeper suddenly sat up with a look of astonishment at Hao Xian. Then, he was so angry that he spat out his food and exclaimed loudly, "What the hell is that expression of yours? Are you looking down on me? Do you not believe that I can become a great character?" He was so furious that he stormed over and grabbed Hao Xian's collar and shouted, "Damn it, what does a wanderer like you have to look down on me for? What kind of person are you?" Hao Xian chuckled and said to him, "Hey, I didn't say anything, are you just too sensitive?" He brushed off Hao Xian's words and continued to curse, "You're just wasting your breath, that expression of yours is clearly denying it, isn't it?" Then he turned around and called out to his bulky companion from earlier, "Big guy, teach him a lesson for me." The big guy replied, "Little shopkeeper, that's not very good." Meeting such an apprentice, he became even more agitated and his shouts grew louder. "Forget about the interest, if you want to fight, just go ahead with it, I'll take all the responsibility." Hearing this firm and resolute statement, the big guy clenched his fists and said, "All right, you've asked for it. You're in trouble now." Hao Xian looked at the big guy with disdain and didn't want to speak. He quickly assessed what this guy was up to. Suddenly, the door of the wine tower was kicked open, violently shattering into pieces and startling the big guy. A scar-faced man entered, smiling maliciously with no good intention. He was followed by two others, one of whom was muscular with a six-pack, and they all had cold, ruthless eyes. The scar-faced man said, "Listen up. It seems like your protection fee is 2 months late, isn't it? the big guy was visibly terrified upon seeing the three men, his face drenched in cold sweat as he thought, I'm done for. The scar-faced man then asked, what's the matter? Are you planning on refusing to pay? Do you want to go head-to-head with our brothers? After finishing his sentence, the little shopkeeper smiled brightly, without the arrogant attitude as before. When others asked him if he was the leader of the knee-long gang, he replied, no, sir. You know the city lord's taxes are too high. Next month, I will pay in full. Hearing this, the scar-faced man knew he was going crazy, so he looked at the little shopkeeper, then raised his fist and said, let me tell you. Before he could hear anything, he received a strong punch to the face, causing him to fall to the ground and his face to swell up in pain. The big guy called for the counter-supervisor, and the scar-faced man said, are all the people in the house dead? Just leaving a little brat to talk to me. Hearing this, the little shopkeeper angrily shouted, you arrogant dog, you only rely on the gang behind you for support, don't you? Wait until I cultivating immortals in the future, I will definitely defeat all of you, teeth falling out on the ground. As soon as the words finished, the little shopkeeper was grabbed by the scar-faced man by the neck and said, do you still have a future? I doubt you will have the chance anymore, our brothers are here to take you to meet the king of hell. Suddenly, in House Yen, the system announced, beep beep, check found the red-haired boy with special talent, promoting his potential will win an extraordinary reward. Hearing this announcement, House Yen had to perk up his ears in disbelief, huh? There's still special talent. House Yen was quite surprised when the little shopkeeper, a mortal, aroused the interest of the system. It was precisely because of this that House Yen took steps forward. While he was walking, he still heard the screams of the little shopkeeper saying, I hate you, by Lien Hua, I want to kill you. At this point, House Yen exuded intense killing intent and thought, regardless, the rewards last time were too tempting, but I don't need to pay attention anymore. Then, House Yen grabbed the scar-faced man's head and pressed it firmly to the ground and said, Master, I can only delegate to you now, try to bear it a little bit. As he finished his sentence, the entire house was shaken, with cracks appearing all around. The burly man, who had been ready to confront House Yen, was now visibly shocked, his mouth gaping in disbelief as the walls around him were also not spared from this disaster. The scar-faced man, who had been exuding a menacing aura, was now lying on his back, and the divine soul seemed to have disappeared somewhere after the shock, leaving behind a pile of ruins. House Yen was stunned by this scene, sweating profusely as he said, oh no, I've overexerted myself again. What do I do now? He was at a loss for words as he lamented to himself. This time, it's all over. I'm already poor and now I've destroyed someone's shop. Where will I get the money to compensate for this? Afterwards, House Yen calmly approached the little shopkeeper and said, oh dear, I'm so embarrassed. I lack experience, so I have a little trouble controlling my power. I will compensate you at market price. As he spoke, the little shopkeeper still looked bewildered, unable to grasp what was happening. After a while, the young man of the small shop trembled and said, no, there's no need, immortal sir, I am honored to have you destroy my house. If you want to destroy as much as you want, go ahead, I won't say anything more. How dare I demand compensation, I didn't know you were an immortal sir before. Then, he slapped himself strongly and said, I have committed many sins, sins worthy of 1,000 deaths, I hope you forgive me. House Yen sighed and said, how can a respected cultivation practitioner be treated like this in the human world? Are you still the arrogant little boy earlier? Then, without hesitation, he said, all right, it's done. Stand up, I want to ask you something. When he finished speaking, the owner of the small shop quickly sat up and prepared to answer House Yen. He continued asking, tell me, how is the situation of the city lord's death as you have described it unfolding? When the city lord was mentioned, he was also a little surprised because the system had warned him. House Yen's main task is Naja, located in the city lord's mansion, so he secretly evaluates the protective system in the city lord's mansion is very likely to be the city lord they mentioned. then Hao Xian looked at him and continued, how did you feel about his aura before? Is he a bad person? At this point, the little shopkeeper also recounted the situation. 2 years ago, our city of Taiyan, under his rule, had abundant conditions, stable society, and the people were all wealthy and happy. It sounds peaceful, but now there must be a reason, so Hao Xian asked again, what happened after that? Since the beginning of this year, for some reason, he suddenly became indifferent and reckless. Not doing any major evil deeds, but disregarding the suffering of the people, not even caring about the lives of the people, imposing heavy taxes just to enjoy himself, the little shopkeeper recounted and couldn't help but feel angry. He made the lives of the people in the city worse and worse, making them start to lament and complain. People even suspected that he was being controlled by some demon. Hearing this, Hao Xian was a little surprised and asked, a demon? The story continued, and the little shopkeeper said, how else could such a big change happen? It's inexplicable. Hao Xian agreed with the little shopkeeper's thoughts. Then the shopkeeper looked up at Hao Xian and questioned, Immortal, may we ask if the city lord intends to eliminate the threat to the people? After hearing the little shopkeeper's question, Hao Xian was embarrassed and scratched his head, saying, well, of course, because it is the responsibility to protect the people from harm, but little did anyone know that he was just doing his duty. To the shopkeeper, he admired and exclaimed, truly a righteous immortal. But then the shopkeeper showed fear and said, but I advise you, do not do that 1,000 times. Hao Xian was also curious and wanted to ask again, aren't you also very disgusted with that city lord? The little shopkeeper did not deny it, but said seriously, the name city lord is terrifying, but the city lord is not as simple as you think. Hearing this, Hao Xian exclaimed and said, go on. The little shopkeeper said, the city lord is an immortal, who had previously offended someone outside the city and nearly killed them, but unexpectedly, the other person was the young master of a sect, leading to over 100 other cultivating immortals coming for revenge. The entire sect was thrown into chaos by him. Hearing the little shopkeeper's story, Hao Xian realized that it was Najah. But the story didn't end there. The little shopkeeper emphasized solemnly, it's not as simple as that, the sect has invited a celestial being from the heavenly court to help. That celestial being descended from the sky, a terrifying sight, that celestial being is the great power of the heavenly court, the real deal. But the surprise came at the end, thinking that there would be a battle, but who would have thought that the immortal would silently rush down from the clouds and kneel in front of the city lord without even daring to disrupt the dust. I know the immortal lord must not believe me, but I saw it with my own eyes. At this point in the story, Hao Xian was definitely 100% sure that it was Najah, the person who tilted his nose and seemed unsurprised, thinking, why didn't I believe it, the son of King Li Thian, no ordinary fairy would dare not to kneel, but thinking about it, it doesn't seem right. Why did he suddenly come to the mortal city as the city lord? Furthermore, what kind of demon would dare to enter his body? After thinking for a while, Hao Xian stood up and said, all right, I understand everything now, let's go, you lead the way, we're going to the city lord's mansion. As soon as he heard this, the little shopkeeper panicked and exclaimed, what? His face covered in sweat as he stammered and asked again. Immortal, did you just not hear what I said? That city lord is a being even the heavenly gods cannot meddle with. At this moment, after seeing the little shopkeeper frightened when hearing about finding the city lord, Hao Xian turned back and said, the person we need to find is him, I am still in a hurry to go collect my disciples here. After hearing this, the little shopkeeper was excited and quickly asked, am I meeting a real big shot? And then he changed his mind, eagerly running ahead to show the way to Hao Xian. After walking for a while, the two entered deep into a street near the city lord's mansion. The little shopkeeper introduced himself as Lu Ae and asked Hao Xian to call him Ae. However, Hao Xian just said, I don't care about that. You just need to lead the way for me. Ae still refused to give up and continued, you should not be indifferent to me, I know that a great person like you has cut off all worldly desires, but that really makes me feel bored. Hao Xian seemed annoyed by Ae's endless chatter. Immortal, you must have come from some cultivating immortals sect, right? Yes, for sure, your background is truly admirable, starting to learn about immortality from a young age, AE expressed. People like us, from the lower class of society, are not as fortunate as you, AE continued solemnly. Hao Xian, not interested, showed no concern for Yi's words. My parents were just ordinary merchants, so I don't have the ability to cultivate immortals, AE emphasized. Hao Xian, angry, said, hey, did you not hear what I said? I said I am not interested. However, his face showed his dissatisfaction. AE, speaking of immortals, being born in my place is not good, and then encountering this incompetent city lord, AE continued. Hearing AE speak, Hao Xian felt uncomfortable and wanted to argue, but he couldn't escape Yi's words. I said immortal, everyone says that our fate is determined by ourselves, not by heaven. But for people in the same low class like us, we don't have any other choice. The barriers of the proletariat like us have long been forced to death by the upper class. AE continued to ponder endlessly. Hao Xian pressed his temples at this moment, extremely frustrated, with a very uncomfortable expression on his face, but still reminding himself to endure a little. It's still a child who doesn't understand. Before he could calm his hot-blooded mood, AE blurted out another sentence. Immortal, you see, like us, our perspective, network of relationships, forms of thinking, are far inferior to others. Even our destination. Sometimes, we may never be able to reach it. The first destiny, the second fortune, the third feng shui, ranking destiny as the top priority is not without reason. Before he could finish his sentence, Hao Xian was raging, angrily kicking a rock and shouting loudly, damn it, I said I'm not interested in listening. Why do you keep talking like that? Are you deaf or something? AE shivered in fear, dropping to the ground, his soul leaving his body. As Hao Xian's foot was about to hit Yi's face, he finally stopped, saying, I know, I will shut up now. This action brought a sense of calm to the remaining distance, and the two of them continued to walk down the street. After a while, Yi's mouth couldn't stay silent and he continued, don't you want to talk at all, immortal? Living in the mundane world can help you achieve enlightenment and breakthroughs in your cultivation. Before he could finish, Hao Xian grabbed his head in frustration. Heavens, why did I have to pick up this chatterbox? Truly a worthy opponent for the mysterious lady. One doesn't speak for half a year, the other talks for 10 minutes straight about nothing. The scene shifted to the martial arts training ground, where the city lord's old tiger stood tall, facing Neja. The old man said, young Neja, your father wants you to train as a warrior, not to become a court jester. Neja showed no concern and said, that's something those despicable people deserve to endure, I didn't do anything wrong. Hearing this, old tiger was not pleased and said, despicable people. Even though you were disobedient before, you never spoke such words. If I weren't standing in front of you right now, I would seriously suspect that you've been possessed by some evil force. What happened to make you change so much? Under old tiger's questioning, Neja replied, Master Tiger, since when have you spoken so many unnecessary words? Why are you here? Is it to take me back on King's order or what? Old Tiger said, it's nothing big, just that Heavenly King sent me to make you come to your senses. Upon hearing this, Neja became excited and responded, oh, is that so? That's just what I wanted. It's great, because I've been wanting to truly compete with you, Master. As soon as he finished speaking, Old Tiger released spiritual energy towards Neja, adding, then I'll do as you wish. The continuous flow of spiritual energy transformed into threads wrapping around Neja, so fast that in the blink of an eye, it formed a tight cocoon. The old tiger roared and said, let me show you my extraordinary breakthrough, a sealing technique that even the heavenly gods have praised as reaching the highest level. Then, the old tiger raised his head to the sky and roared loudly, his fierce face looking down below. Suddenly, the sealing threads penetrated into the cocoon, creating a new seal, layer upon layer, named, Heavenly Restraining Heart Sealing. Each thread connected to another, forming a great sealing formation from the outside inward, unbreakable from the inside and outside. The old tiger confidently said, "My sealing chains have the attribute of lightning, which will paralyze the space around, combined with the super-fast threads, even those with spatial magic talents cannot escape. But to ensure, I have prepared a final move for you. I have borrowed a magical weapon that ordinary people cannot imagine." After speaking, the old man rubbed his two claws together, creating a small spark. Then, he took out a golden tower, which was the legendary Seven Treasures Tower of the Heavenly King. At this moment, it emitted a brilliant light, standing tall in the sky. Old Tiger made a move and threw the tower, shouting, "Come on." Suddenly, the small tower transformed into a huge tower, sealing and suppressing Najah's jar. The majestic tower fell down, sucking in the sealed jar. Old Tiger, feeling pleased, said, "You must know better than me, right? Once the Seven Treasures Tower of your father hits its target, no living being can escape." The training ground was now pierced with a large hole by the tower, surrounded by a faint electric current. But suddenly, something unexpected happened, causing Old Tiger to be terrified. What is this? Why is the life force inside the tower going crazy and disappearing? What happened to the aura of the young master? Old Tiger was extremely worried and rushed towards the Seven Treasures Tower, shouting, "Young master!" The old man with epilepsy screamed, "What on earth is happening?" Inside the spirit tower, there was no living thing left. Najah, who was trapped inside the spirit tower, had died. However, outside the tower, there was a strong disturbance from the spiritual weapon, then quickly gathered back and Najah's figure was also reborn. He looked at Old Tiger and said, "Living beings cannot escape, so what if I tear myself apart first, then reincarnate?" Old Tiger was surprised to hear Najah talking about reincarnation, and saw Najah's hand gradually returning to its original form. Old Tiger was shocked and asked, "Could it be that young master has entered the realm of nirvana?" Najah did not deny and asked the old man, "Isn't it clear enough yet that you're still asking me?" Upon hearing Najah's confession, Old Tiger could not contain his emotions and burst into tears. "Oh, the blessings of our ancestors are truly the blessings of our ancestors. The 3,000-year nirvana realm of the heavens is once again cultivated by our young master." Then, the old man was too excited and ran back to hug Najah and praised endlessly, 3,000 years, for 3,000 years. "Young master, you are truly amazing, immortal and boundless inner strength. Young master has succeeded, has truly achieved immortality," because Old Tiger's actions made Najah surprised and shout loudly, "What are you doing? Get out right now, annoying to death. I am only interested in beautiful sisters." Old Tiger was still excited and clasped his hands looking up to the sky, "Jewel Emperor bless, Buddha bless, all immortals are blessed." Right after that, Old Tiger ran away, not forgetting to turn back and say, "Young master, this matter should not be delayed, I will go bring this good news to the Heavenly King." The words of the old man made Najah stand still and silent. After speaking, Old Tiger also did not hesitate to attach a rocket to his butt and fly away mysteriously. At this moment, Najah also scratched his nose and said with satisfaction, "Noisy, indeed noisy, the realm of Nibbon is truly terrifying, but for a genius like me, it's nothing but a piece of cake, just a small matter, haha. Wait until I grow up a few hundred more years, then the entire heavenly realm will be the era of mine, haha." After Najah finished talking about cultivation, he walked away briskly, still chattering about finding a younger sister to play with. Hao Xian stood watching this scene and found it interesting because Najah's arrogant personality resembled Wukong, making it easy to handle. However, when they meet Wukong later, it seems like the two will clash fiercely due to their dominant personalities. Hao Xian activated Dan K's peak card, creating a brilliant column of light shining down from the sky, causing fear in the surrounding area. Najah stopped in his tracks and turned back, not understanding what was happening. Hao Xian summoned Dan K with a cold and aloof demeanor, looking down at everything as if they were laughing wholeheartedly. AE also didn't understand what was happening, gaping in astonishment to the point of not being able to close his mouth. The shock of AE made Hao Xian see and ask, Hey, tell me, is it a bit strange for a great man like me to turn into this appearance? A.E. heard this and always said, no no, but his mouth kept drooling because of this beauty. A.E. continued to explain, not strange at all, dear immortal. His state made Hao Xian darken his face again. He secretly thought, oh my goodness, luckily my friends from college in my past life didn't see it, or they would probably laugh to death, and then I would be turned into a new idol on social media. How scary. Just then, from behind, Hao Xian heard Ne Zha's voice coming through. Ne Zha walked over with an unfriendly look and said, where does a little thief like you come from, dare to sneak into my house? After hearing Ne Zha's loud shout, at this moment, Hao Xian in the form of Dan K turned back to look. With this angle and the inherent enchanting beauty of Fox Saint Dan K, it was as if pointing a gun at the sky. Then, he witnessed Hao Xian's appearance, and Ne Zha couldn't help but stand still in shock. He stared blankly and uttered a "huh" sound of incomprehension, then another "huh" sound accompanied by a nosebleed, his heart wanting to leap out. He couldn't believe that this senior sister was so stunningly beautiful. Hao Xian saw his expressive actions, her face constantly filled with anger and frustration without speaking a word. Hao Xian's lips twitched, telling herself, I have to quickly end this embarrassing situation. Immediately after, Hao Xian assumed a wide-legged stance to let the cool breeze blow, tensing her body to reveal her power. Far away, Ne Zha also witnessed the dazzling scene of this aura. However, Hao Xian was shocked and pale when she discovered a surprising fact. It seemed like they would gain more power to fight, but there was no movement at all now. Hao Xian panicked, shouting in fear, what's going on? Why can't I feel any power? Just then, at a critical moment, the system displayed a message, Fox Saint Dan K is in a normal state and has no strength. It is necessary to absorb a large amount of spiritual energy from the outside to fill up the body, then one can enter a state of combat to unleash their full power. After hearing the system speak, Hao Xian's soul was now lost, with a lifeless face quite pitiable for a boy who lives by the 12 water stops. Immediately after that, Hao Xian's horrified face was covered in sweat as he shouted, damn, is this really the final general in the game? The damn system, are you playing with me again? Why didn't you remind me earlier, you wretched thing? Hao Xian was so angry that he stood in place, stomping his feet and continuously saying, now you tell me where to find a large amount of spiritual energy for you. Don't make it difficult for me like this, can you? Give me some clues, give me a different card, how can I play like this? Ne Zha looked at the sister standing alone waving her hands and feet not knowing what she was doing. At this moment Hao Xian also looked back with a panicked face thinking, damn, the only way is to provoke Ne Zha to use his big move, then absorb his energy. It was precisely because of that thought that made Hao Xian rush forward fiercely and throw a punch. During that time, he did not forget to mock and provoke Ne Zha by calling him, that ugly and stupid brat, who takes a punch from me and dies, what a joke. He looked fierce, but when he threw a punch at Ne Zha, there was no reaction at all. After holding the pose for a while, both of them fell silent without saying a word. It was only then that Hao Xian realized his foolish joke and started sweating profusely, not knowing what to do. He collapsed in despair, thinking, what kind of foolish thing have I done? It's like I was being submissive in front of him, how stupid. I can't even muster any strength at all. Seeing the little trickery of the girl in front of him, Ne Zha finally spoke up. All right, let's not waste any more time, young master can't hold back anymore. Hao Xian, hearing this and witnessing Ne Zha's twisted expression, couldn't help but recoil and say, can't hold back anymore. What do you want to do with me? Before he could finish his sentence, Ne Zha picked up Hao Xian and laughed mischievously. What is done, of course rice turns into cooked rice, Ne Zha teased Hao Xian, causing him to startle in fear. In Hao Xian's heart, he felt helpless and angry at the current situation. He wondered to himself, mother, of course, what should I do now? Can it be that a great man like me has fallen into this situation? A sense of crisis came over Hao Xian, then Ne Zha brought Hao Xian back to his place. Two guards heard the commotion and welcomed Najah. Najah said nothing and just walked past them. The guards discussed how Najah used stronger tactics than usual to conquer the woman. After entering the room, Najah quickly closed the door. In the room, Najah pushed Hao Xian to the ground, making him startle. "Don't come here, I'm telling you the truth, I am a great man," Najah said, but seconds later he turned back to look at Hao Xian with a cold, piercing gaze and said, "Shut up, be quiet for me. You are not allowed to say anything." Hearing this, Hao Xian was also a little confused. Then, Najah displayed an attitude as if facing a great enemy. He was very tense and focused. Najah's face became more fierce. Suddenly, a red monster jumped up from the ground behind and said, "Not bad at all, little Najah. I didn't expect you to notice my surveillance." "Since when?" "In the martial arts arena. It's been a few years since I last saw you, you have grown up quite a bit, haven't you?" That's the end of the story, see you in the next episode.